Passed. This meeting is called to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Alexander. Bartley.
Here.
Bresnahan. Shatnoff. Here. Graney.
Here.
Jourdain. Leahy. LeBrun Martinez. Here. Lisi. Here. McGee. Here. McGivern.
Here.
Soto.
Present.
Tallman.
Here.
Bacon. Here. Valentine. Here.
All rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
And the city of Holyoke.
And the City Council.
And Joe McGivern.
Thank you. This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Holyoke City Council for April 21st in the year 2015. As announced at our last meeting, our president, Kevin Jourdain, is on a family vacation. He did ask me to take over for him, and I would do so, but it has to be without objection from the city council. Our rules state the senior member, I'm not the eldest member, Mr. Bartley, just a senior. There are two city councilors older than me. The senior member opens up the meeting, and without objection, I would be glad to run the meeting. Is there any objection? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will try to do it the best I can. Kevin runs a very smooth meeting. He runs a very thorough meeting. I still have a few old habits, and I apologize in advance if my old habits kind of squeak in, but just bear with me.
President, motion made to take number 1 off the table, please.
Motion made second to remove from the table item number 1. All those in
Second.
favor? Any opposed? So moved. It's the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any discussion? Motion made second to approve. I will personally thank our administrative assistant. I had asked something be added to the minutes. He has done so gamefully. There was nothing wrong with the original minutes. I just thought the part about spot zoning and some things that were said at that meeting should have been concluded in the minutes, which he has added. Is there any other discussion?
And I just want to thank also our administrative assistant for editing my comments as well, which he did.
Any further discussion? If not, on a motion to receive and approve the minutes as written and amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Mr. President, if I may, Mr. Councilor Leahy called also that he's on a family vacation.
Councilor, he is on a family vacation. You'll be glad to know he wanted me to report that they did make it through the line at Space Mountain, and they had a great time and are having a great time. Item 2 was laid on the table from the Finance Committee. Councilor McGee, is there any motion?
Leave it there for now. We're still waiting for, I reached out to Councilor Jourdain, because he's the one that made the motion on certain requests and didn't get a response back, so I'm not sure if he's received all the information he was looking for, so we can just leave it on the table for now.
If there's no objection, item 2 will remain on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Councilor, item numbers 3, 4, and 5 have been on the table for some time. I don't think there's been any movement. If there's no objections, we will keep these items on the table. Is there any objections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This moves us to public comment, and we do have some, as always, some very important speakers in the audience. I would like to first introduce it, and this is a courtesy, but introduce as part of our meeting, our Mayor Alex Morse, and now Mayor Morse is going to lead into the public speakers who are here tonight and the reasons that they are here. Mayor Morse.
Thank you, Councilor McGivern, and thank you, councilors, for the attention here tonight. I'm here to talk briefly about the license that the City of Holyoke and the Sheriff Ash have agreed to regarding the relocation of Howard Street Treatment Center to the former Geriatric Authority. As many of you know, the city executed the license recently. I do want to just commend the sheriff and thank him and his team for being here tonight to be available for public comment to describe a little bit more about the relocation and the benefits of doing so. And then we're not here for a specific ask, but out of courtesy, we wanted to be here to be able to answer any questions and provide some basic information. A couple of months ago, I had reached out to the sheriff regarding the Geriatric Authority. In the meantime, the council, and I want to thank the council for their unanimous support of a recent order to consider providing the Geriatric Authority and entering into an agreement. You'll also notice as a late file order tonight, and a copy of a legal opinion is on your desk regarding the license process with the sheriff's office. Because it's not considered a lease and considered a license, the process is exempt from Chapter 30B. And the license format was provided to us by DCAM, a state leasing agency for government and municipally owned buildings. And so that's how we entered into this agreement. At the point there would be a lease or a sale of the property, then we would come before you for a declaration of surplus property as well as approval of a lease. And Kara provided that with you tonight, and if there are any questions about that, Kara is happy to elaborate on that opinion. As you probably read in the news and the communication that happened quickly last week, I do want to thank Bill Fouquet from the DPW, Damian from the Building Department, Marcos, all the other department heads with the city for working quickly with the sheriff to make it happen. I know they're running on a tight time schedule, expected to be out of Howard Street on May 8th, and we're going to do our best to be ready for May 9th. On Thursday, the sheriff and I will do a neighborhood meeting in the neighborhood to answer any questions and provide information about the treatment center. We think it's a win for the city of Holyoke, given that we'll recoup some from revenue through this license. Obviously, it's a win for those people who are seeking treatment and who rely on the program at Howard Street. And also, given some of the public safety issues around the geriatric authority over the last couple of months, there have been a couple of break-ins. We think this is an opportunity to secure the property more than it is today. They've already begun to provide security at the property even before moving there. Obviously, a payment to the city, landscaping, and other things, and also allows Marcos and Planning and Development an 18-month period to do due diligence, what's the highest and best use for that property, and still move forward with the eventual sale of that property. So again, that's the deal in a nutshell. Obviously, we can take any questions if you have any, but at this point, I want to introduce Sheriff Ash as the next speaker on public comment to talk about moving the treatment center here to Holyoke. So thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, Sheriff.
Thank you. This Councilor McGivern and all the council members, it's just a great honor for me to be here, and want to thank the mayor for your leadership, and also I want to thank all the council members. That's really why I came, just to express my gratitude, for your invitation to come to the city of Holyoke. And I can't tell you how much that meant to us. And just as the mayor's highlighted, is that we are faced with a notice to leave that facility by May 8th, if you will. And so we had been really exploring a number of sites, and we're just terribly excited by coming to the geriatric center. The building's terrific. There's just some minor repairs that we have to make. And again, we're already there working 2 shifts a day, if you will, preparing for this. And just as the mayor highlighted, is that we anticipate having a community meeting on Thursday, 5:30 at the facility. The mayor was very concerned about the neighbors and so on, and based on that, not only just the break-ins, but also looking at all the residents that lived in that area. And again, with the cooperation of my staff, we have been up there providing security, if you will, from 8 p.m. To 4 a.m. Each evening and so on. And as I said, during the day, we're there for 2 shifts and so on. I did want to take the time, I just, because I know your time is of the essence, but I did want to take the time to just introduce the director. This is Della Blake. Della has been working for the Sheriff's Department for 31 years, just brings an incredible competence and professionalism to the work. We also have Anthony Schiavelli. Anthony's the assistant director, has been with us for 13 years. And again, has a great commitment to the work. And we have 2 of our uniform supervisors here, Lieutenant John Nettis, and we have Sergeant Casey Garvey, and also my Chief of Operations, Jimmy Keller, who's the former director at this facility. I would just say that we've been in this facility for some 30 years. We've had over 17,220 people have gone through the facility. And we've had great success, particularly in terms of the safety and so on of the neighborhood. And I know I could talk forever But again, my intent of coming here was really to thank all of you for inviting us to Holyoke. I can't tell you how much that meant to us. And again, my humble thanks to you, Mayor, for your leadership as well. We're terribly excited. Let me just have, if it's okay, Councilor
Go right
McKenna,
ahead,
just
Sheriff.
to have Della Blake. I'd just like to have Della talk about briefly the program. We have at each of your desk, I have provided, Della has provided the programmatical aspects to it, and I have put together a sheet just outlining, quote, some questions you might have and some in terms of the presence of our facility and so on. So please, that's for your review. And please, we're open to any questions at any particular time, whatever. So with this, Della Blake, who's the director of the program. Della.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor Morris. Thank you all for having us here. It is our privilege and honor to partner with Holyoke. Howard Street is known as the House of Hope, and I'm really excited for Holyoke to partnership with us in giving that hope, support, and encouragement to people who are at a point and a place in their lives to turn their lives around. We are on average a 97-day program in the next 18 months. You know, our residents go through an orientation, they go through a 7-week cycle, and there's different focuses for 7 weeks. 1 week we focus on pharmacology, physiology, denial, relapse. We have a focus on family. We have a focus on recovery. We have a very thorough and extensive program. We have special focus groups around victim impact, domestic violence, grief and loss, relapse prevention, word struck. We are very active with community partnerships. We have over 30 restitution sites. We work with different agencies in the community providing restitution services. It is important that our residents give back what was so freely given to them. We do have a mentorship program there, an escort program, which we call the backbone of our program. Our clients eventually are going to be getting out. Howard Street offers them the opportunity to step out into the community with tools and support. We have agencies that we collaborate with to help our residents get on their feet. Our volunteers come in, take our residents out to meetings where they are encouraged to reach out to people in the self-help support network so that they can start taking some responsibility for their own lives and their own recovery. One of the things that we tell our residents when we give them an opportunity to get back on their feet, the program is about them establishing themselves. It's not about doing it for their parents or for their children. At the end of the day, they have to look in the mirror and be proud of the person that they see looking back at them. So it's about them taking advantage of this opportunity to establish themselves. And we tell them to trust is what they have coming in the door. That is their responsibility to keep it. That is the same thing we're saying to you. We are so grateful and blessed for this opportunity. We thank you for the trust that you have put in us. We look forward and embrace the opportunity to work with you and keep that trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Della. Sheriff, is there anyone else from your staff that was signed up to speak or just to be here? Your introductions of your staff, I think, were just out of courtesy and out of if we have any questions.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Councilor.
Is there any questions for the sheriff? It's a little bit out of protocol, but the mayor wasn't really part of the public comment. But we are receiving the legal opinion as a late filed. I would suggest that we take the legal opinion, put it in the appropriate committee later this evening, and keep it open for discussion. But I think if there are any questions now about the program or any thoughts, we can open it up for a moment, or we can go on. Yes, Councilor Valentine.
Thank you. Thank you to Sheriff Ash and to Della for being here, and also the rest of the staff. I'm actually very familiar with the Western Mass Correctional Alcohol Center because I used to work at the Hampden County Sheriff's Department when I ran the psychiatric unit there, so I'm very aware of the amazing work that they do. When I heard about this proposal, I thought it was a very exciting opportunity. So that's just my personal take on that. But what I did want to ask a little bit about was, because this is something that comes up sometimes when folks are not aware of the information and they're concerned about, what does it mean to have these programs in our neighborhood? And I actually don't really like when people make reference to programs that way, because there's a condescending tone sometimes when that question is asked and the way that it's asked. But and I have no concerns about this program being in our community. But just for some clarification for folks that are watching at home, in terms of the reintegration process and the whole piece on the privileges that the clients are given, that the inmates are given, and so on and so forth, if you could just very briefly just speak about that in terms of what that looks like. For example, obviously the location that you had in Springfield on Howard Street is different than this location. But if you could just briefly talk on what are the collaborations that you already have in place with reintegration within organizations in Holyoke, or even what the experience has been in terms of the neighborhood throughout all these years. I know that it's the incidents are pretty much minimal. But just to briefly talk on that as you see fit.
Yeah, I think looking at this is a 13-week program, 13 weeks, 1 week of orientation, and then 7 weeks, again, just as Della has outlined, a very intense, targeted, focused program, psychoeducational, meaning there's an education, individual, group counseling, and work. We run a very tight ship, and I emphasize that in terms of, again, there's a bed check when they first get up. In addition to that is that each resident is expected to wear a shirt and a tie, and showing the seriousness of their work. And then at the end of approximately 21 days, the staff then evaluates the condition in terms of as they might attend, if you will, AA and NA meetings in the community. But in this situation, this would all be done, obviously, with management of our staff, versus the Howard Street that there might be, for example, people that might be going. Here we're going to obviously have vehicles and so on. So there will not be any, if you will, residential travel, if you will, through that neighborhood. Okay, we're going to run that in terms of looking at that. But then the last 5 weeks is when they've earned the right to obviously work in the community restitution, or work at nonprofits in the community. We have about 22 nonprofits. For example, the Springfield Police Department would be one, where they go out to work each day, and then obviously be involved as well with individual and group, as well as attend AA and NA meetings. And then the other key aspect to our work is the aftercare, reentry. And of course, that's where the escort services comes in, forming relationships with sponsors and so on to prepare to return. And we spend a lot of time on what we call the three-legged stool: housing, jobs, and supportive services. And in fact, we're very, very pleased and honored. We have a business right here in Holyoke, and which again, we're very proud of. On Jackson Street, we have 10,000 square feet, and we provide over 20 jobs. And this is a partnership that we have with the Holyoke Boys Club under auspices of the mayor in terms of safe and successful youth initiative. And we're very proud of the fact that we have bought our upholstery business, and which is not only a statewide but a New England business that we brought here. And plus, we have a number of partnerships now that are being set up within this 10,000 square feet in terms of our business and so on, and plus housing and et cetera. But so we do a lot in terms of the whole reentry. Della, I don't know if you care to say anything.
It's part of a continuum. And like the sheriff says, folks have to earn their opportunity to Howard Street. 1 out of 4 judges in Hampden County refer or recommend folks to Howard Street, but just because it's on the mid and recommended, they have work they have to do at higher security. So when they're at the main institution, there's program requirements that they have to comply with to earn the opportunity to get to our level of treatment. and classification. And like the sheriff said, after 21 days, they're in-house for 21 days. We're watching their behavior. We're watching how they engage in classes and groups. And people have to earn the privilege for the next step toward reentry and the opportunities that the department offers them around employment and even continuing their education. You know, we bring residents down to Holyoke Community College for classes. So, but these are things, if a resident is going to strive to prove that they are ready to change and what's important to them, these are the things that they work toward, that they're not just given to them.
Councilor Reagan.
Thank you. For folks at home that are interested in attending that community meeting in Ward 5, can you just specifically state where it will be located? There's a little confusion as to whether it's going to be at Devonshire or at the Geriatric Authority, so people watching will know exactly where to go.
Yeah, that will be at the Devonshire Apartments.
And
the
just to
community
clarify, it's
room.
at 5:30 on Thursday?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
because I just want people to be aware that we're learning the details of the program now as they will be learning it on Thursday. Thank you.
Yeah, good, Linda. Thank you.
Councilor Ron Martinez.
Yeah, I actually want to just compliment this particular project because I know Career Point works closely with helping with the job search already, and they are coming here on a daily basis. So this is nothing new that they're actually attending or coming through Holyoke, and they're human beings like many of us, and we never had a problem with any of them, and we've been doing this for years now. So thank you, Ash, for this effort. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
To our speakers, thank you. If there's no other questions, Mayor and Sheriff and staff. And one more question. Councilor President.
Hey, thanks for coming down, Sheriff. Just a quick question. There's currently a program up there right now that has made major renovations. I don't know if anyone knows in this room what their game plan is as far as whether they're coming or going, but have you touched base with them at all? Gandara? They have a youth program that's, you know, to keep the kids, instead of going over to Westfield
Yeah.
as youthful offenders, they're trying them at Holyoke because they might not be tough enough or old enough
Yeah.
to kind of go over to the Westfield. So there's actually, I went up there, they're still actively
Yeah.
taking in those kids. I'm just wondering, has anybody talked to them about, not from our point, but from your perspective, has anybody talked base with them about, you know, how, if they were to stay there, you know, is that possible?
Yeah. Counselor, I had a chance to visit with him. He was the management person that was on. We had a very nice tour. Just like you said, they're in B building. In fact, they were very inviting and embraced us, okay, in terms of the partnership. And again, I had a chance to walk around and see the program and so on. So I know, at least from that particular manager and the sense too of the staff and so on, that they didn't see any kind of conflict, you know, in terms of that aspect.
But
So,
the adults would be separated from,
yes, they're in B building, we're going to be in A building.
Perfect,
Yeah.
great.
In fact,
Good
they
luck.
encouraged us. They encouraged us to look at A building. They felt that was in a little better shape, if you will, you know, than the building that they were in.
okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Any further questions for the Sheriff? Sheriff, Mayor, thank you. Staff, thank you. Sheriff, I did remind everybody at the last meeting when we voted on the concept, a vote of embracing this, is it's not the first time the Hampden County Sheriff's been in Holyoke, not just the program you mentioned of, but in the early 90s, your good friend Marty Dunn and you came to an agreement after a while about the Armory takeover, which actually worked out very good for both the neighborhood, including the school across the street. And you also had your hand and ran the Community Corrections Center in our City Hall annex next door here. But I think we know when you put your foot forward, it's your best foot, and we appreciate that. Councilor Graney?
Just to add to Councilor McGivern, my good friend Tom Brosman was very much a part of that program down there. God rest his soul.
He was the sheriff. He was the sheriff. Yeah, great guy. But again, thank you, Counselor.
Thank you again.
And again, thank you, you know, for your vote of confidence, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
We have one more speaker on the public comment, signed up for public comment, and that is the Vice Chair of the School Committee, Devin Sheehan of 131 Norwood Terrace. Devin, if you want to come forward. Hey, if I give you 2 seconds, if you haven't been here for the last couple of weeks, we've experiencing, we hope, is internal problems with our with our audio system. Your microphone may or may not be working. I'm kind of shouting, and it's not the typical. Ryan tells me, and we're understanding there's some work been done on the system to allow our feed to go onto the website to be a live stream. It's caused an internal problem that hasn't been resolved yet. If there's anybody at home is having problems hearing us, we apologize, but they are working on it. And right now, I think we have to talk a little bit louder than normal. Devin, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to come here today as Vice Chair of the School Committee and really extend our thanks to the council. You all have been very supportive over the past few months, past few years, but most especially the past few months regarding some of the items that have come down from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education regarding the potential receivership. And you've passed some orders that have really been looked at statewide, and people have been applauding it statewide within the realm of public education, that it's something, the fact that a council would come together, also the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce who came together in support, but really that these entities would come out and be so supportive of the schools and publicly supportive of the schools. So I thank you for that. I also know that there were some orders, I think there was an order filed your last meeting by Councilor Lisi regarding some of the legal parameters around receivership, and I know that's working its way through, and I have some documentation I can share at a later point for all of you from a few months ago. But I come here today, like I said, to thank you, but also to remind everyone that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is having one of their first meetings in Western Mass in many years, and it's going to be a public hearing at the War Memorial on the 27th of April from 4 to 7. And it's completely board run, and it has to do 100% with what the decision will be regarding the Holyoke Public Schools over the next few years, and whether or not the schools will be placed into receivership or not. So I would encourage you to let your constituency know. We've been trying to get the message out there, but also let anyone know to attend that meeting. It's being run a little bit differently than a normal public hearing if you've been to them in the past. In the past, people would have to go and sign up, and it's really whoever gets there early enough gets their name first on the list to speak. They're actually putting all the names into a hopper, and they're drawing them out. So there's no, if you show up at 5:30, you show up at 4, you show up at 6, you may have the same ability to speak at the meeting. The Holyoke Public Schools, well, I shouldn't say the Holyoke Public Schools, our transportation company has graciously donated buses for the evening for anyone to park at any of their zone K-8 schools. They can park there and take a bus down to the War Memorial and then get a bus back. The bus company realized the issues with parking at the War Memorial, and we've had a great relationship with them, so they said they will donate buses for the evening. So parents, it's only at the K-8 school, so there'll be no buses at Holyoke High or Dean, just because there's usually a K-8 school located in the various different zones and wards to get parents there, but they will bring them down to the War Memorial and back. So we're thankful of that. There'll also be childcare services provided. The Holyoke Public Schools is sponsoring that with some educational professionals who are giving their time to provide for any kids 12 and under, and older if you want, but we targeted 12 and under, and we'll have a movie and just some supervised time from 4 to 7. We are working on additional translation. The board has made the decision that the only translation services that they will be providing are to translate into Spanish from what the chair says, and then if there is a non-English speaking person that would like to testify, their testimony will be translated for the board, but that's all of the translation that the board is going to provide out. We're working on some alternatives. There's some electronic devices that can be used and some various different things just so we can provide more accessibility, because even though this is being run by the state, we feel that we have a vested interest to make this the most accessible meeting possible. So please tell your constituency to come out to the War Memorial. If they need transportation, they can get it at any of the K-8 schools around the city. All of the information will be up on the website probably by tomorrow. These were just some things that we were settling out today with that. So once again, I thank you for all of your support and your continued support through this. And the board meets again on the 28th of April. We've been told not to anticipate a vote on the 28th of April, and we have been told that they won't be voting regarding receivership until May. now. So I think it's either May 17th or 19th. It's that week of May that their next meeting is. So it may be delayed till that point, deciding on the fate of the schools.
Monday, April 27th at the War Memorial, 4 to 7?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Devin.
Thank you.
Counselor LeBron Martinez?
I just got a question. Do you know, for the buses, what time should people be at those locations so that they can make it for 4? Do they have a deadline? Just to make sure.
We can get that information out to you. I don't
Can you
know
please? Yeah.
that much of the detail, the specifics. I just learned about some of that earlier today. So once I have that, and I should have it probably late tonight or early tomorrow of however they're running the schedule, we will get that out to everyone just so we can publicize that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Moving on to communications. Item number 6 from the mayor. Item number 6 is a communication from the mayor with the salary study conducted by Human Resources Services Incorporated, including a proposed classification compensation plan.
Receive, send to ordinance with a copy to finance.
Motion made second to receive item number 6, refer to Committee on Ordinance with a copy to Finance. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. 7, 8, 9, and 10 are reappointments.
Take them up as a package.
Motion made second to take them up as a package. If there's no objection, or unless someone wants to single one of these out for a separate vote, all those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. These are up for reappointments. They are confirmations, although 3 are the Disability Commission. We traditionally confirm them, and 1 is the Conservation Commission, which we have to confirm. First one is Elizabeth Larrabee of 198 Pleasant Street to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities to the City of Holyoke. Ms. Larrabee will serve a second 3-year term, which will expire March in 2018. Item number 8 is appointing Mr. Donald Welch, former city councilor of 11D Arbor Way, to continue his membership on the Commission on Disabilities. Mr. Welch will serve also a 3-year term to March of 2018. Item number 9 is reappointing Barbara Heisler of 7 Center Street for the Commission on Disabilities, also to serve a 3-year term, which will expire in March of 2018. And item number 10 is the reappointment of Ms. Mary Moriarty of 429 Homestead Ave for the Conservation Commission reappointment. This term will be for a 3-year term until February 1st, 2018. Is it okay to vote on these as a package? Is there any discussion? On the motion to confirm the reappointments, roll call. Brenda, you want a roll call? We'll have a roll call for the reconfirming of these 4 appointments. If you vote yes, you are voting in favor of the reappointment. If you vote no, you're voting against the 4 reappointments.
And Mr. President, will you just check to make sure that all municipal fees and taxes have been paid? Do you have the documents up there?
I do. As I stated, there are a few new things. We do not have any communication from the treasurer outlining if there are any outstanding fees or taxes to be paid. Any further discussion?
Yeah, it's part of our rules for all appointed positions. Oh, no.
May I suggest, because these are reappointments for people who I think we know very well, that we would entertain adopting the reappointments with the exception of once the treasurer looks at these things, maybe tomorrow or the next day, if there are any issues, it'll be brought back to us at our next
I
meeting.
withdraw my motion. I am always under the impression that we actually passed the order that our appointments be fully paid in the same way that our home occupation permits and whatnot are paid, but I don't believe that we actually passed the orders that would do the same for the appointments and reappointments. So I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Greenie.
Just to move the question.
Okay. There's no further discussion. The clerk will call the roll. Someone that's standing at the podium will be voting first tonight, only because he pulled his own name out of the bucket. If you vote yes, again, you're voting in favor of the reappointments. If you vote no, you're voting against them.
McGivern?
Yes.
Soto?
Yes.
Tolman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Shatnoff?
Yes.
Greenie?
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you've reappointed the 4 individuals, 3 to the Commission on Disabilities and 1 to the Conservation Commission. Item number 11 is a communication from the mayor appointing Mr. Michael
President, can we
Dodge
take
of
11, 12
1131.
Can we suspend, take 11, 12, 13 as a package?
Motion made second to suspend the rules with no objections for 11, 12, and 13 as a package. These are new appointments. Is there any discussion on suspending the rules?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
And
opposed?
Make a motion to refer each of these to
Public service.
public service, please.
Second.
Motion made second to refer each of these items to the Committee on Public Service for the purpose of an interview. Real quickly, there are appointments by the mayor. Conservation Commission, the first item number 11 is Mr. Michael Dodge, 131 Norwood Terrace. Item number 12 is Mr. Seth Taylor, 408 Southampton Road, also the Conservation Commission. Item number 13, Ms. Mary Louise Monahan, 20 Coit Street, also for the Conservation Board of Appeals, sorry. Motion is received. Refer each of these to Public Service Committee for interviews. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item number 14 is from our city clerk. It's the regular meeting, it's the minutes of the regular city council meeting of April 7th, 2015.
A motion to receive and approve the minutes?
Motion made second to receive and approve as written. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item number 15 from Cheryl Dugrade, Executive Director of Retirement Board. This is a copy of, as requested, the various details and listings of out-of-state travels for members of the board and staff for the years of 2013 and 2014. I believe everybody received a copy.
I didn't get one. I have not.
It was in our packet. I believe it was in our packet.
The copy would have been at home, but,
We got it on email.
or it would have been from, copier out of the clerk's office. The new employee copier.
I must have missed it.
I know. It means all our emails are on the copy machine and the copier sent it to us. On the motion to receive, is there a committee?
Receive and send
Say
to
receive
finance.
and refer to finance.
Refer to Committee on Finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 16 from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, a review of the final management structure. Long time coming.
Receive and send to finance.
Motion made second to receive for the Committee on Finance. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Item 17, 18.
For 21 as a package?
19, 20, and 21, if there's no objections, are minutes. We'll take them up as a package. Any objections? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. 17, these are minutes of the Register of Voters for March 10, 2015. 18, Board of Health, March 11, 2015. 19, Board of Public Works, March 9, 2015. 20, Sewer Commission minutes, March 19, 2015. And 21, Stormwater Authority minutes of March 9, 2015. Motion is to receive each of these. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Moving on to petitions. Item 22 is a petition of Kim Silva of 624 South Bridge Street. This is the Holyoke Turnverein Hall for renewal of 2 pool tables and 6 bowling alleys.
Receive, send to finance.
This is a renewal.
It's a
Was it
renewal.
renewal? Sorry.
Our taxes.
Renewal.
I'm sorry, we do have a communication signed by our treasurer, Sandy Smith, that all fees and property taxes have been checked and are current.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
made second to receive and approve the renewals of both the pool tables, 2 pool tables, and 6 bowling alleyways. Is there any discussion on adopting the renewal? Not, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor. If you vote no, you're voting to deny.
McGivern,
Yes.
Soto,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Valentine,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Bresnahan.
Yes.
Shatnoff.
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez.
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
By a vote, you've adopted renewal of 2 pool tables and 6 bowling alleyways. Item 23 is a new petition from Conrad Duquette of 1155 Hamden Street. It's a home occupation request for a carpentry business.
Receive, send to ordinance.
Ordinance? Motion made second to receive for the Committee on Ordinance. Is there any discussion?
Public service?
We were just looking at the rules, unless they were old rules that we had in front of us. It would be government.
I thought it was
I think we
DGR.
switched
No,
it. We didn't give
it
to
says
you?
except for home occupation. Says, so the DGR shall have jurisdiction over all council-issued special permits, parentheses, except for home occupation.
That makes sense.
We're currently doing we're trying
Yeah.
to get a public hearing for a home occupation permit this month. I mean, I can't imagine why I wouldn't go to public service, which.
Okay. I mean, it's the choice of it's the consensus of the body, but we try to follow our rules as to where we point to.
Happy to send them to public service.
I'll send it to ordinance. Send it to ordinance.
All right, let's not fight over it.
Send them to both.
Well, somebody's got to have the hearing.
No, motion to send to public service.
Yeah, I'll second that,
Back
Bryce,
in.
yeah.
Okay, motion made, second, refer to Committee on Public Service. We'll do a follow-up with the president to make sure that we're going in the right direction, but we're not breaking any rules by doing this. And Public Service has been doing these for some time. On that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
How's it current?
Good news, there is no president's report tonight.
No.
The
We
meeting will be
wish him
half
very
as long.
well.
Make something up, Joe.
The president's on a family vacation, and we wish him all the best.
Vacation.
I mean, that's nothing more important than family.
Amen.
Reports of committees. Moving to the Committee on Ordinance, item 24A. To whom is referred an order that no turn red sign on Hitchcock Street and Northampton Street be modified. Recommend that the order be adopted with amendments stating no turn on red after Hitchcock Street eastbound at Northampton, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motion made second to receive to pass the first reading. Councilor Lisi, Chair of the Ordinance Committee, please.
Thank you. So this order was before the body at the last full city council meeting. However, the maker of the order, Council Bartley, wanted to amend what came out of Ordinance Committee so that the early hours read 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And so it was sent back to committee so we could draft the legal language, and now it's before you in the form that has been vetted by the engineer and meets the needs of the neighborhood that have been communicated to the maker of the order. If Council Bartley has anything to add.
Councilor Bartley?
I'll just say that thank you to the ordinance committee and to the city engineer for working with me on this order. It's a very slight change, but the hope is that it will help improve traffic. I did want to point out, Mr. President, that when I was walking a certain neighborhood today, that it was raised to me that they like this order, but they were hopeful to have a no turn on red sign posted at South Street, Mr. President. We're at the top of South Street where it intersects with Northampton Street. And I thought that was worthy of discussion, so I'm forwarding that to the city engineer as well. But just so the body knows, this Hitchcock Street, I hope folks are familiar with it, but it runs parallel to Westfield Road, and Westfield Road no longer has a no turn on red sign there, although there's some question about whether it should be there or not. We're not sure if the sign's missing, but nevertheless, it's not there. And as far as traffic safety or incidents, there's been nothing noted, and that's without a no turn on red sign. So this will maintain the no turn on red, but it'll just be for limited hours, which are basically rush hour in the morning and rush hour in the evening. Thank you.
And if I could have the amendment for the time change?
The amendment should now read 6 to 9 a.m. and previously it was 6 to 8 a.m. So the change is in the language that's on the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Graney?
I'm opposed to this. I don't see any reason for the change.
Any further discussion? Motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion made second to pass the second reading. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion made and second, the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the amendment to the city ordinance. If you vote no, you're voting against it.
McGivern,
No.
Soto,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Valentine,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Bresnahan,
Yes.
Shatnoff,
Yes.
Graney,
No.
LeBrun Martinez,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee. Yes. 10 yeas and 2 nays.
By your vote, you've adopted the ordinance change. Item 24B, the Committee on Ordinance to refer an order that a no turn on red sign at Brown Avenue and South Street be modified. Recommend that the order be amended to state no turn on red after Brown Avenue northbound at South Street, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motion received, pass the first reading. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. So it's the same situation here. We are amending the AM hours from 6 to 8 a.m. to 6 to 9 a.m. as you read it on the agenda. I'm taking them up separately because I know that there was some resistance to the Hitchcock order, and so I just wanted to make sure that we could take up the Brown Avenue separately. Again, the maker is Council Bartley, and if he'd like to add anything, he's welcome to.
All set?
All set.
Any further discussion? Motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So
Motion to-
moved.
Motion to pass the second
Motion made
reading.
second to pass the second reading. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion made second to passage be ordained. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the ordinance change. If you vote no, you're voting to deny.
McGivern,
Yes.
Soto,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Valentine,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Bresnahan, Shatnoff, Graney,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee. Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you've adopted the ordinance. Item 24C, Committee on Ordinance to refer an order to City Council approve and ratify an agreement between the City of Holyoke and HPP Mass 2 LLC in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 38H, for a payment in lieu of taxes, known as a pilot program, for certain personal property tax obligations for a solar installation located on the roof of a privately leased property at 49 Garfield Street, Holyoke. Have considered the same, recommended be adopted. Councilor Lisi, Bacon, Bartley, and Shatnoff.
Motion to adopt, pass first reading.
Motion made second to receive and pass the first reading. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. So this is a pilot agreement, which is a payment in lieu of taxes that has been passed and approved by the city for a number of other solar projects. This one is actually a rooftop project on a property at 49 Garfield Street. There's a industry, where is it? The HPPMA 2 LLC is renting the roof at 49 Garfield Street and is owning and operating the solar panels up there. And so we are assessing let me just see what I have here. The assessors set the pilot at $5,000 per kilowatt. That's what has been used in previous pilot agreements. And this is a 1 kilowatt solar panel operation, so we would be getting $5,000 in year in taxes as a payment in lieu of taxes.
Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to,
Yes.
I believe it's, just an
It's
adoption.
just
Yeah.
it's just
If
the
you- If
adoption.
if there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of adopting the pilot program for the purpose of the lieu of taxes. If you vote no, you're voting against it.
McGivern,
Yes.
Soto,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Valentine,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Bresnahan,
Yes.
Shatnoff, Graney,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee. Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you've adopted the recommendation of the committee in the pilot program. Item 24D, Committee on Ordinance to refer the handicap application of Carmelo Santa Maria on and 460 North Bridge Street. Have considered the same, recommended be adopted. Councilor Lisi, Bacon, Bartley, and Shatnoff.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motion made second to receive the pass the first reading. Councilor Lisi.
This is a handicap placard. It's been vetted by the Commission on Disabilities, and the Ordinance Committee has set it into legal form.
Any further discussion? Motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So
Motion-
moved.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion made second to pass the second reading. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion made second to passage be ordained. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting in favor of the ordinance change. If you vote no, you are voting against it.
McGivern,
Yes.
Soto,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon, Valentine,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Bresnahan,
Yes.
Shatnoff, Graney,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee. Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you've adopted the handicap parking for 60 North Bridge Street. Items 25, 26, and 27, Committee on Finance, Public Safety, and Public Service. There were no meetings since our last full city council meeting. Is there any reports on agendas or updates? Item 28, Development and Government
Mr.
Relations
President?
Committee.
Could we suspend and take 28A, C, and D as a package?
Motion has been made and second to take 28A, C, and D as a package. Any discussion? No objections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I'll read each of them, and then we'll allow Councilor Bartley to explain. The first one is the Committee on Development and Government Relations, whom was referred and ordered that the Honorable City Council, in accordance with Mass General Laws 30B and the Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, vote to declare the property located at 332 Beach Street surplus property available for disposition. On 9/8/2014, the property was awarded to the city via land court with a judgment recorded in Hampden County Register of Deeds, Book 20418, page 149. Said property is described in the Holyoke Assessor's Map as Map 061, Block 03, Parcel 009, consisting of approximately 6,600 square feet of vacant land, more or less. It is more particularly described in the deed recorded in Hampden County Register of Deeds, Book 16156, page 6. Property is zoned RM20, multifamily residential, and was previously assessed at $30,600. The recommendations from the committee are from Councilor Bartley, McGivern, LeBron Martinez, and Valentine to adopt the request. The second item C, 28C, same committee, same vote on the Holyoke Procurement Ordinance along with Mass General Laws 30B. This property is located at 188 Chestnut Street. We're being asked to make a surplus available for disposition. It was awarded to the city on 12/30/2014. It's known as County Registry of Deeds as book number 20552, page 219, and in the Holyoke Assessors as map 011, block 10, parcel 008. It's about 4,118 square feet situated on, the consisting of approximately building size is 4,118, consisting on a situated land of 11,712. The property is zoned RO multifamily, previously assessed at 61,600. Also recommended for adoption to declare surplus by Councilor Bartley, McGivern, LeBron Martinez, and Valentine. The third one as a package, also from the Committee on DGR, also with the 30B and the Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, to declare property at 245 High Street surplus available. On 1/26/2015, the property was awarded to the city via land court decree. The judgment is registered in the Hampden County Register of Deeds, Book 20593, page 446. Assessor's map is 012-03022, has about 8,952 square foot office building situated on 2,265 square feet of land, more or less described in the Camden County Register of Deeds, 17351, page 49. The property is zoned BC Downtown Business, previously assessed at 151,900. Recommended for adoption to declare surplus, Councilor Bartley, McGivern, LeBron Martinez, and Valentine. Motion is to receive and adopt. Councilor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. President. And so we had a DGR meeting last week, and just while I'm thinking of it, we have one tomorrow night at 6:30, if anyone can make it. 232 Beach Street, Mr. President, you're very familiar with that. As you pointed out, it is essentially a foundation, and it is on the right-hand side of Beach Street, just a little bit past Wisteriahurst. 188 Chestnut Street is approximately a half a block north of the public library. It used to be the home of Hello Holyoke and several other businesses. It's been subject to at least one fire, and there isn't much of the roof left. And 245 High Street is directly across the street from this building, and it's a former Solutions. And Marcos and his department are doing their best to try to get these properties back on the tax roll. And just so this body is aware, Marcos will do that by RFP for these. It's either RFP or auction. In this case, they're going to go for RFP. So his office will issue an RFP, but before these properties are ultimately disposed, or titles transferred, if you will, it has to come back to this body with a price and, you know, what's happening with the property, and we're going to know. So what your vote does tonight for these three properties, it allows Marcos to move forward and at least find somebody who can purchase it for their own use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're going to vote in favor of declaring the three parties as presented surplus and available for disposition. If you vote no, you're going to vote against all three being declared surplus.
McGivern?
Yes.
Soto?
Yes.
Tolman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Chatnoff? Yes. Graney?
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee? Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you've adopted the committee reports and declared these three properties as surplus and available for disposition. Item 28, also from the Committee on Development and Government Relations, to whom is referred an order to the Honorable City Council in accordance with Mass General Laws 30B and the Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, vote to accept the offer from East Hampton Savings Bank to purchase a parcel located at 170 Sargent Street for $5,000. Said parcel contained about 0.83 acres, described in the Holyoke Assessor's map as Assessor's records as map 060, block 03, parcel 001, and being more particularly described in deeds recorded in the Hampden County Register of Deeds, Book 857, page 371. The parcel is zoned business general and has an assessed value of $24,200. The mayor's acceptance letter and additional information have been submitted to the city council. Recommend the order be adopted. Councilor Bartley, McGivern, LeBron Martinez, and Valentine.
Motion to adopt the committee report.
Motion made second to receive and adopt the committee report accepting the agreed upon price of $5,000. Councilor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the 170 Sargent Street is a vacant parcel situated between the CVS on Beach Street and the Senior Center, which I guess is on technically on Pine Street. And this body, we got to this point because this body declared this parcel surplus X months ago. It was last year at some point. So you should be congratulated. Well, so what happened is Marcos did his job and he did it well, and he's got East Hampton Savings Bank as the interested buyer. Now let's just, before we even go there, the price is $5,000. So this body looked like a buyer, a company called Dollar General. Maybe a year ago, Joe? A year plus ago?
About two years
ago?
plus,
Okay. For a buyer for this parcel for $250,000. And because of a restriction, a covenant, if you will, in CVS's deed, they were able to block that transfer. So went back out for RFP, and here's East Hampton Savings Bank. And we were joined last week by two of their executives, and they put a nice presentation on. So what this does is allow Marcos to get to purchase and sale. And within a purchase and sale agreement, there's going to be all sorts of contingencies in there. And so I would not expect this to be a very quick process. It could be 90 days or longer. But East Hampton will do its due diligence and then ascertain whether or not it wants to move forward to execute the agreement. Hopefully it will. Their plans are to build a 2,400 square foot building, have I think 7 to 10 full-time employees. East Hampton made a nice presentation saying how much it wanted to be in Holyoke and how happy it is to have this opportunity to be here. It indicated that it's going to be its third branch potentially on Route 202, and they just seemed like they were very gung-ho on Holyoke, and they're very appreciative to our committee. And if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Thank you.
Councilor Graney.
Just a quick question is, could there be a caveat on there that they are going to build? Is it a branch bank, Councilor Bartley?
Mr. President, yeah, thank you, Councilor Graney. It would be a full-service branch with your residential and commercial lenders, and one of the gentlemen indicated that there's a branch of East Hampton in Belchertown, and he said if you want to know what it's going to look like in Holyoke, take a look at the one in Belchertown on Route 202, and that's what this will it will look like. I assume it's going to be the same yellow building that they've been putting up around. I think he said, Joe, that this is going to be their 10th branch for East Hampton, and again, Howie, they sounded really encouraging. So.
Just a quick question. I hate to use a what if, but if we sell them the property for the $5,000 and they decide not to build, what happens to the property?
Oh, it goes right back to the Holyoke's inventory, and we'll try
It's
to
a standard
circle-
reverter.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
And actually, you get it back for $1.
Yeah.
And technically, they would lose their $5,000 deposit.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Valentine.
Thank you. Just to briefly add to what Councilor Bartley was also mentioning, they did talk about a little bit about the building process. They said it would be about 18 months building, and the investment that they would be making to build this new bank branch would be between $900,000 to $1.2 million. So just to look at the impact of how we can get something like this back on our tax rolls in terms of a business like this. They also mentioned that of the 7 staff members that they would be looking to hire, that they always try to prioritize local hires so that the folks that are coming to the branch are familiar with members of that community itself. So I thought that was also something that was worth mentioning. And just when you first hear about this and you hear $5,000 and you compare it to the Dollar General 250 figure, there's a moment of what are we talking about here? One of the things that Marcos also specified when he was speaking with us is that CVS, and correct me if I'm wrong, Councilor Bartley, when CVS purchased the parcel where they are, they took care of the cleanup of that brownfield. And the estimate was something around the lines of, if we were to look at how much it would be to have cleaned up this brownfield of this parcel, it would be about $125,000. So those are the numbers that I think I remember from our meeting. So $5,000 sounds like, why are we giving this away? But in reality, there's just much more to that figure than what it looks like. So just wanted to mention that.
Any further discussion? Councilor Tallman.
My mic's not on, but anyhow, I think that's a great job that the committee's done for this project, and I could recall that project going through. We tried to get Dollar General there a couple of years ago, and unfortunately, it didn't work out because CVS had in their clause no other store could sell like items with that. But as Councilor Valentin stated, it does sound like a low price, but the bang for this, what you're going to get out of it, the jobs, the construction, the building, the taxes down the road are huge. And I wish we could get more vacant lots in our city, on the rolls. And I'd like to thank Marcos and his team to putting this together, because that's we need more of this in the city. We need more tax dollars, more jobs, and more building on these vacant lots. It's a really big plus for the city.
Just like to point out to the record that the tall man needs 2 mics.
This one's not working, I don't think, and I just...
Councilor Reagan.
Thank you. And I would just note that even though they went over their process and let us know what it would be, that they had a very high degree of certainty in terms of the project. They've really looked at it carefully, and it seemed like they had a over 80% confidence that it would go forth, and it seems like it would be a really good fit in the neighborhood. And just as an FYI, Dollar General did end up in Holyoke, just in another part of Holyoke. Thanks.
Any further discussion? If not, the motion on the floor is to receive and to adopt the acceptance of the $5,000 as negotiated. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting in favor. If you vote no, you are voting to deny.
McGivern.
Yes.
Soto.
Yes.
Tallman.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Valentine.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Bresnahan.
Yes.
Shatnoff. Graney.
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez.
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
McGee. Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you've adopted the mayor's acceptance letter for the price asked for 170 Sargent Street. There are no committee reports from Charter and Rules. Moving on to the next portion of the committee meeting is called Motion, Orders, and Resolutions, otherwise known as incoming. Item 30, introduced by Councilor Leahy. Is that representatives of United Water Aquarium, United Water, provide a list to me within 5 business days of updating me with streets that will be swept and in what order.
Receive, refer, and adopt. Receive, adopt, refer.
Motion made second to receive, adopt, refer. I would suggest that we ask that all city councilors receive a copy of the list. I think that's what Councilor Leahy meant.
Me as the
Yep.
council.
Yeah. On that motion, is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Item 31, introduced by Councilor Lisi. Ordered that Section 2-35 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Classification Compensation Plans be amended to incorporate the new classification compensation plan as received earlier tonight, elected official salaries, ordinances, miscellaneous salary schedules, et cetera, for DHPR miscellaneous salary schedules, as well as any other amendments previously adopted or necessary under the section that would be repealed.
Receive and send to ordinance,
Motion made
please.
second to receive for the Committee on Ordinance. Is there any discussion?
Just,
Councilor Lisi.
just really briefly, we received the communication this evening that the salary study is completed, and we sent the communication with, I guess, the overall vision to ordinance, and this is the actual ordinance changes that the legal department is proposing that we make to update the full docket of salaries. We'll take it up in committee.
Thank you. If there's no debate on whether this should or should not go to committee, all those in favor? Councilor Graney?
Yeah, I just, shouldn't this go to finance too?
It's a good point, but it has to be adopted by ordinance, so it needs to go through the ordinance. So traditionally, we would just keep it in ordinance.
It is gonna wind up in the hands of finance at some time, I hope.
It's subject to appropriation as always. Councilor Lisi?
Yeah, it would require a separate order to go to finance, or I believe that if we make these ordinance changes, the mayor could then build them into the budget.
Any further, Councilor Graney?
Well, I'd like to, if I could after this, I'd like to make a motion that finance gets it early. We could make a motion to send it to finance as well so that they can study it.
We can send a copy to finance, because finance would not adopt this order. They have to get the actual appropriation
That's
order.
fine, a copy to
But
finance.
we can send, actually, it's a good idea to send a schedule, if we haven't, and a copy to finance for when the appropriation orders come
That's
in,
fine. Thank you.
because it could be all encompassing. But the order itself is going to the Committee on Ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 32, introduced by Councilor McGee.
Make a motion to receive and send a public safety copy to the engineer.
This is for the intersection of Magnolia and Mackenzie, and determine if a stop sign, yield sign, and other appropriate traffic sign to be installed. Motion is to receive, copy to the engineer, to the Committee on Ordinance.
Ordinance? Well, I'm not sure if there's going to need an ordinance, but they can address it in public safety, and if we
Public
need something,
safety?
I'll file another order.
Okay.
That way we're not.
Or you could just send, once the engineer discusses it in public safety, you could just send a copy of it over to us.
Motion is receive, copy to the city engineer, to Committee on Public Safety, and if necessary, copy to ordinance. All those in favor?
Discussion?
Any
Under
opposed? So
Under
moved.
discussion, please.
Councilor Grady.
Yeah, just a question to Councilor McGee on this, the intersection of Magnolia and McKenzie. I travel there, and as Portland Street comes down, does that turn into Magnolia?
Kinsey.
And
Yeah,
then
so-
McKenzie goes down. There is a stop sign on the Portland Street side coming down
Correct.
Portland when you go into Magnolia.
Correct.
So where are you talking about?
The constituents are concerned when you take a right from Portland on, in essence, Magnolia, Portland. When you come down the hill, there's a stop sign. When you turn right to go on Mackenzie, they're speeding from there to the next stop sign, which takes you out to the high school. So they're wondering what, if anything, you could do within that zone. We're not sure. We're just trying to get suggestions, that's all.
Okay.
I'm not saying to put a sign or anything. We're looking for some type of
I was
answer
just
to
trying to
that.
get the
Yeah.
area, that's all. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Motion for the committee with copy to the engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 33, introduced by Councilor Bacon. An update, requesting an update be provided regarding an error vacating GH property to facilitate the sale of the city-owned property. They should also include the status of rental payments
A motion to refer to DGNR.
Second. Second.
It's pretty, thank you, Mr. President. It's pretty straightforward. It's just we are in flux with that property up there, and of course, we've just very recently been updated again. My concern is that our plan is to declare it surplus and put it out for sale. And so I just want to make sure that whatever people are going into there, we keep moving with the plan for the highest and best use of the property. Thank you.
Any further discussion? On the motion before the committee, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 34, introduced by Councilor Bacon, that the Board of Health, Police Department, and planning staff update the City Council on the status of the Holyoke Hotel, including any violations, the number of homeless people sheltered there, calls for service at the location, the status of plans for development.
Motion to refer to public safety.
Second.
Received for Committee on Public Safety, Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. And as we have all recently received an update, since there's actually activity going on over there, there's certain orders that have already been filed and questions as to what is going to happen with the relocation of the homeless folks who are sheltered there. And so I think it's important for us to have a good handle on the changes that will be happening over there to the extent that they're available to us. Thank you.
Yeah, on the news tonight, there was an update that they said that it's going to be developed into retail stores there, and then possibly part of the building is going to be torn down, and they're also going to have another hotel there, according to the news. Now, I don't know how accurate that is.
If I may, through the
Councilor Bacon?
through the chair, yes, this site plan has been approved for a while through the planning board, but the issue was when it was actually going to be implemented. So I'm really happy to see that they're starting on one of the projects, but I'm interested to know if, as it's available, what the remainder of the timeline is.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Channel 22 at 11 o'clock has all the answers.
Applebee's is
someone
the only
does.
formal name so far.
At least they're getting the answers anyways.
Any further discussion? Motion to refer to Committee on Public Safety. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Item 35, introduced by Councilor Bacon. The county road be evaluated for the elimination of the passing zones as they encourage an increased rate of speed by drivers.
Adopt and refer to the engineer with a copy to public safety.
Are they by ordinance?
I would just have the conversation first and then send it over to ordinance if we need to
We'll
make any
refer it if it's
changes.
needed, because they might not even recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
The
don't know what they'll recommend.
motion is to receive, refer to the engineer for a recommendation,
And send to public
and
safety,
send to public safety.
yes.
Okay? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 36, introduced by Councilor Valentine. I knew I was going to mess it up before the night was over, Josie. This is a handicap sign to be placed at 282 and 284 Pine Street for Juan Collado. A placket number we don't need but do have is 93569000. There's an expiration date of August 20th, 2018.
Sent to ordinance with a copy to the Commission on Disabilities, please.
Motion made second to receive, refer to the Committee on Ordinance with a copy to the Commission on Disabilities. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 37, introduced by Councilor Alexander. This is an order, no whereases, that the DPW and the city engineer join the council to discuss and consider a left turn only lane on Dwight Street, west of Northampton Street, and a left turn only on Dwight Street, just west of Pleasant Street, making all Dwight Street from Northampton Street to Linden a single lane road possible with a marked bike lane. Motion to receive for the Committee on Ordinance.
Second.
Yeah.
Council Alexander is not here. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Item 38, introduced by Councilor Bartley. The Honorable City Council, in accordance with Mass General Laws 30B and the Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, vote to declare the following parcels surplus and available for disposition. These properties, there are several properties. Real quick, 718, 722 Dwight Street. We don't have a number, but a map number, 060901 Dwight Street. 736 Dwight Street, 772 Dwight Street, 764 Dwight Street, 780 Dwight Street, 123 Pine Street, 800 Dwight Street. Somehow, Councilor Bartley, I think one of these is known as the Old Rainbow Cafe.
You're right. DGR, please.
Motion made second to receive for the Committee on DGR. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Item 39, introduced by Councilor Bartley. At the Honorable City Council with the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority's Urban Renewal Plan entitled Connect, Construct, Create, a plan for the revitalization of the center of the city of Holyoke, which was approved by the Holyoke City Council December 4, 2012, and by the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development February 5, 2013, vote to approve the transfer of the properties listed below to the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority at the consideration of $1. These properties would be the same properties that I read with the previous order.
DGR.
Motion made second to receive for the Committee on DGR. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Item 40, introduced by Councilor President. DPW replaced the Steiger Road street sign.
Receive and refer to DPW, please.
Motion made second to receive, adopt, refer to the DPW, and ask them to put a bounty out on the sign that was stolen.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Item 41, introduced by Councilor President. DPW repair or replace a sidewalk section located from Dartmouth Street to Madison Ave.
Receive, adopt, and refer to DPW.
Motion made
please.
second to receive, adopt, refer to DPW. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Late filed orders, of which there are. I don't want to tell you what Ryan just said. I see a G, but we got a few. This first one, late file A, is from the mayor, dated April 16th. The communication, which is the appointment of the following individual to serve as a member of the Historical Commission: Jerome Ezold, 16G Maple Crest Circle, Holyoke. This term will expire April 16, 2018.
Receive, refer to public service.
Motion made second to receive for the Committee on Public Service. As you know, we don't discuss this unless we suspend the rules. Public service for the purpose of interview. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Late file B is a communication from the mayor dated April 16th. Subject to your approval, I hereby appoint the following individual to serve as a member of the Historical Commission: Joe Paul of 18 Florence Avenue, Holyoke. He will replace Duncan McKenswick, who will serve a 3-year term. Said term will expire January 1st, 2018.
Receive, refer
Motion
to
made
public
second to receive for
service.
the Committee on Public Service. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Late file C, communication from the mayor. Dated April 16th, subject to your approval, I hereby appoint the following individual to serve as a member of the Historical Commission: Francis Wilson, 1421 Northampton Street. Term will expire April 16, 2018. Motion made second to receive for the Committee on Public Service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Late file D, a communication from the mayor. Dated April 16th, subject to your approval, I hereby appoint the following individual to serve as a member of the Historical Commission: Alexander Puffer, 227 Madison Ave, Holyoke, will replace Vitek Kruta and will serve Mr. Kruta's remaining term, which will expire February 1st, 2016. The motion to receive before the Committee on Public Service. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Late file E, communication from the mayor, dated April 16th. I hereby reappoint the following individual to serve as Commissioner for the Holyoke Housing Authority: Ms. Marilyn Santa Maria, 11 Leary Drive, Holyoke. Term will be a 5-year term. Said term will expire April 16, 2020.
Motion approved.
Reappointment, approve.
Yeah, motion approved.
Motion made second to suspend the rules for the purpose of discussion and possible final vote. Any discussion on suspending the rules? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the
Motion to
reappointment.
adopt.
Second.
and approve
Motion
the
made second to adopt the reappointment of Marilyn Santa Maria, 11 Leary Drive. This is the Holyoke Housing Authority for a 5-year term. Is there any discussion? On a motion to adopt, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Late filed F. It's a communication from the mayor regarding a veto of agenda item 33I, I believe, which was received by the mayor on April 7, 2015. Dear Mayor, due members of the City Council, in accordance with the Section 24 of the City Charter, I hereby veto the attached order and return it to the council with my objections. As stated in my email to councilors on April 1st, the assistant clerk is deserving of a raise and should receive one. However, the process to do so is part of the salary classification that is being introduced on your agenda tonight. I understand the reasons for the council is attempting to move quickly, making sure that this is a non-union employee is not being paid less than someone they supervise. The reality is that she is currently being paid more and will continue until at least January 2016. The auditor has drafted a memo outlining and explaining how this understandable confusion did occur. Signed, Alex Morse, Mayor of the City of Holyoke. We can refer this to committee with the compensation schedule, but that's going to be in committee for a while, I believe.
Well,
I think we have a time period as to, we have a time period on the veto? Is there, I know it's a late filed. Is there a need to discuss?
can we suspend the rules and have Kara?
Suspend the rules, one, to discuss this order quickly, and two, to have our city solicitor approach. All those in favor? Any opposed? While Kara's looking it up, is there any discussion, any preliminary questions or discussion? Councilor Shatno.
Thank you. So can I ask the clerk a question?
Suspend the rules, no objections? Yes.
So is she making more money or is she not now?
Well, Bellamy has a communication in there as well, explaining like because of the different salary grades, one's a union position, one's not. And I think it comes to Irma making $300 approximately more right now. But come January 2016, Kelly will be getting a 3% raise. In January 2017, Kelly will be getting another 3% raise. Irma won't be getting any. And the other issue is at the end of this fiscal year, Kelly will have made more because Kelly can get overtime, which Irma can't get now as well. So if you look at all of the
Did that answer your
factors.
question? We can get you a copy of what the auditor sent us, if you would. But that pretty much sums it up.
Okay.
Councilor Graney.
Something about a
Just a
difference
quick
of
question to the chair.
says it in there.
What's the reason for all of these late files, at this point in time today? Is there,
The chair will refer those questions to the mayor.
thank you.
You're welcome. Attorney Cunha?
I don't see anything in the ordinance that you have to act on it just says the mayor has the 10 days to return the item with his objections, and then that the city council shall proceed to reconsider it. So there's no time frame in the charter by which you have to reconsider it.
I know we have referred on occasion vetoes back to committee when they're not cut and dry. So it's the option of the council if you want to refer this to the committee on ordinance to tag along with the earlier order on the compensation schedule, or if you want to act on it this evening. Councilor McGee? Thank you, Attorney.
Yeah, thank you. I guess my question is, since it came in as a late file, if we don't act on it at all, what happens to it?
Still, and the mayor had the 10 days to submit it back to the council with his reasons for the veto, so I don't think that makes any difference. It's the 10 days that's the...
Sooner or later, we have to act on it,
Mr. President,
or it, stays in limbo.
I just make a motion to override the veto. Seeing how we've taken this up, there was only one vote in the negative, and the councilor that voted negative has stated her reasons why, and she has a very good reason. She's been very consistent across the board, but the vast majority of this board voted for this, so let's give this lady what she's...
A second motion.
Yeah.
Motion has been made, seconded, and third for item number F, late filed, which is the communication of the veto of the mayor. The motion is made and seconded to override the veto. Any further discussion? Councilor LeBron Martinez.
Yes. Is there a study going on right now as we are going to be voting on isn't there a study going on to do with the salary issues or?
We received it this evening and it's going to committee for review.
There was earlier this evening under communication, we did receive both the salary study and the report from DOR.
And the question that I have now next is that, so let's say it get either voted in or voted down. Would the person get compensation from the time that this is being held up for the?
Further discussion, the motion on the floor is to override the mayor's veto. Therefore, the clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you are voting to override the veto of the mayor, which would allow our ordinance to go forward. If you vote no, you are voting in favor of the veto, and that would essentially kill the ordinance that is before us. Is there any questions on the vote? Yeah. A yes vote is to override the veto, which would mean the ordinance would be adopted. A no vote is to sustain the veto, which means that the ordinance would die. Sorry, I could have said that quicker the first time. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
McGivern,
Yes.
Soto,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Valentine,
No.
Bartley,
Yes.
Bresnahan,
Yes.
Shatnoff,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez,
No.
Lisi,
No.
McGee.
Yes.
8 yeas and 4 nays.
Chair just wants to remind himself, 10 votes, I believe. Okay. So motion is denied. Any further discussion? Item G is a communication from the mayor. I believe everybody has a copy. It was the discussion at the public speak out this evening. This is regarding the agreement with the Hampden County Sheriff's Department for the use of the former geriatric authority. It is the legal opinion of our
Mr.
city
President,
solicitor, Cara Cunha.
Yeah, DGR, I think.
Motion to receive before the Committee on DGR. Any discussion? There is no discussion because we
Mr.
can't.
President, can I make a motion to reconsider our actions on the,
Can we just vote on the,
Yeah.
just
Yes.
vote on,
Real quick on G,
Vote on that
refer to Committee on DGR. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
make a motion to reconsider our actions on the veto?
Motion made, second, to reconsider our action on the veto. Any discussion on reconsidering our action? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
No.
Make a motion to lay on the table?
Motion made, second, to lay on the table. Is there any, no, there will be no discussion if there's a second.
Second.
Motion made, second, to lay on the table. We cannot discuss that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Anybody else got anything else? Councilor Bacon?
I would just like to make a point of order that we communicate to the mayor and request respectfully that he follow our rules in terms of filing these orders. There really wasn't anything of an emergency nature here. Thank you.
I will. I know each of the dates, that I'm not making excuses or trying to explain anything, but each of the dates were April 16th, and because of the holiday, we had the early deadline, which I think maybe the mayor, I'm sure the clerk's office communicated to him, but maybe the mayor's office forgot about the early deadline. Councilor Lisi?
Just 1 second. I just have a procedural question. So we just laid the communication from the mayor on the table?
The veto, yes.
And
No, yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
communication with the veto. So then what happens?
Well, unless we find out different, it can stay there until we're ready to act on it at our next meeting, like any other item on the table. Or if we find out that there is a timetable, we'll get the timetable back to everybody. But I think the ordinance stays in limbo because the mayor vetoed it, but we can still override the veto at a future date if 10 city councilors choose to do that. Any further questions?
No questions, Mr. President, just something, an announcement?
Yes, Councilor McGee.
Everyone has a packet, so it's a shameless plug for Salon 413. Willow and his wife took over the salon, and I went to the the ribbon cutting on Saturday. Great place, check it out. It's a shameless plug, but for Hoyokers.
And the value is
Support
under
our
the
business.
$30 that we can accept. And Councilor Lisi told me it's something about a hair product. I don't know if she was accurate about that or not. Thank you. Anything further? Motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? Any opposed? We stand adjourned.